Welcome to a new episode of Foresight. In a young country like Oman, digital means everything. In today's episode, we explore Oman's future in this era. Before we start our episode, allow me to thank Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry for their ongoing support. And now, let's welcome our guest, His Excellency Dr. Ali الشيذاني, the Undersecretary of Communication and Information Technology at the Ministry of Transport, Communication and Information Technology. Welcome, Your Excellency. And let's start with the general strategy of Oman when it comes to digital economy. Let's talk about what are the key components of that strategy and how can it play a role in attracting FDI to Oman.
Thank you, Fatma, for this opportunity. So the government of Oman is executing the National Digital Economy Program. And the National Digital Economy Program is the strategic direction for the country to grow the digital economy. The digital economy today constitutes something around 2% of the GDP. And we want to grow the contribution of the digital economy by 5-fold in the coming few years. And we also want to transform Oman from a consuming nation to a producing nation, from a consumer of technology to a producer of niche and needed technologies in the country. So the National Digital Economy Program is the overarching strategy to grow the digital economy in the country. Now, how do we implement the National Digital Economy Program? This program is split in 5-year phases. The first 5-year is started in 2021 and it ends at the end of 2025. This is the first 5-year. Every 5-year has a theme and a couple of KPIs.
Then let's focus on the first 5 years.
Yes, so we are currently living in the first 5 years. And the theme of the first phase is government digital transformation. We do other activities, but government digital transformation is at the center of the first 5 years of the National Digital Economy Program. So the way how we implement the National Digital Economy Program, the program is charts the direction and the governance. So the National Digital Economy Program is supervised by the Financial and Economic Committee of the Cabinet. And there is a technical committee formed by 7 entities, undersecretaries. They meet every quarter and they discuss and they follow up the progress of the National Digital Economy Program. So how the program is implemented? The program is implemented through what we call executive programs. So there are 8 executive programs that are running concurrently today. Each executive program has the projects that has to be implemented to achieve the objectives of the National Digital Economy Program. So projects, timeline, budgets of these 8 executive programs, they realize the objectives of the first phase of the National Digital Economy Program. And what are those 8 executive programs? The Digital Government Program, the AI Program, the Space Program, the Digital Industry Program, the Cybersecurity Innovation Program. So these 5 programs out of the 8 are programs run by the Ministry of Transport, Communication, Information Technology. There are other 3 programs that are run by other government entities as well. And this is an indicator that this is not just Ministry of Transport, Communication, Information Technology project or program. It's a government-wide program. So the other 3 programs, executive programs, are the National Infrastructure Program. It is run by the Telecom Regulatory Authority. The E-commerce program, run by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Investment Promotion. And lastly, the FinTech program, which is managed by the Central Bank of Oman. So these 8 executive programs, each program is run by a government entity with known projects, deliverables, and it's been followed up by the Financial and Economic Committee of the Cabinet. Once the first phase ends, we will enter into the second phase. And the theme of the second phase is digitization of the economic sectors. We will move our focus away from digitizing government towards digitization of the economic sectors that has been identified as the sectors that are going to diversify the economy.
Are these the same ones in the 5-year plan?
Absolutely, okay. Yes. So in the second phase, 2026 to 2030, the theme will be digitization of economic sectors, but that doesn't mean that this is the only thing that we're going to do. No, we are carrying on and continuing whatever work that is pending out of phase 1. Moving on to phase 3. Phase 3 will focus on technology or ICT exports. And we've set a target for us to achieve when it comes to the percentage of ICT export versus the total export that the country exports.
What is the percentage?
Yeah, it is a known. It's there in the National Digital Economy Program. Currently, Oman exports 1%. 1% of Oman's exports is ICT related. By the end of 2035, we want that number to be 25%. So we want to move from 1% today to 25% by 2035. And phase 4, so that I can conclude this, the picture of the National Digital Economy Program, the objective of phase 4 is to grow the digital economy contribution to the GDP to reach 10% of the GDP.
And that's actually a perfect conclusion for that part, because that is my following question about, do you have milestones after the first phase, second and third, when it comes to calculating an estimate number, not a percentage wise, but an estimate number of the participation into GDP?
Yes, so we have the percentage. That's what I mentioned. So 2%.
The percentage itself relies a lot on oil and gas. Also, yes. Because its participation goes up and down, and that has to do with the prices.
Yes.
What about an actual figure?
Yes, we do have that.
What is it?
I don't remember it right now, but we do have an actual number. But so we do have that actual number. But again, that number is also it grows, but it is not as reflective as percentage, as you said, because percentage depends heavily on the oil. Contribution, oil and gas contribution. But what I think is more important than that is the growth. So we do have also projections on the growth of the contribution in every phase of these, every 5 years. So we do have the growth, but I don't remember them on top of my head today.
But you're going to give me the number.
Okay, sure.
Okay. What about the regulations needed? Whether there are certain regulations that you have introduced in the recent years that helped attracting more interest in Oman as a destination to invest in, or the future regulation that you feel can help Oman, whether it has to do with e-trade, or e-commerce, or even international multinational companies who would be interested to come to Oman?
Maybe one of the supporting tools when it comes to regulation is the bilateral relationship that Oman, free trade agreements that Oman signs with multiple countries around the world, and the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, they play a big role in strengthening relationship with countries around the world to sign bilateral, multilateral trade agreements, including the free trade agreement that Oman has with the United States of America. So that is, in my opinion, a bigger contributor towards attracting investments. Next is the local regulations. The more clear and unambiguous local regulations you have, the better it is. I can mention a couple of regulations that have maybe also contributed into helping position Oman favorably among other nations. We have the cloud first policy. So the cloud first policy is a policy that encourages government entities to adopt cloud solutions. And there are so many cloud service providers around the world. So when cloud service providers know that Oman adopts cloud first policy, they feel that there is appetite for cloud usage in the country, and it is attracting these kind of companies to come and set up a base in Oman. The other regulation that I think is also helping is the data protection law. So the personal data protection law is a law that protects the privacy of citizens, visitors in Oman. And the reason why this law is important is because it gives clarity. It gives clarity to the individual, and it gives clarity to companies. So when companies want to operate in Oman, they know what is needed in terms of protecting the privacy of users that are going to use their systems. And this personal data protection law have some similarities to the GDPR in the EU. And the GDPR is becoming a de facto now, a standard around the world for data protection. And Oman have adopted a very similar approach to the GDPR, which means that multinational companies will, when they come to the country, they know that the country adopts very similar practices and standards to other nations around the world, including the EU. So I can say that when it comes to data and digitization in general, maybe these are the regulations. But I have to go back and say it is the bilateral and multilateral agreements between Oman and countries around the world that makes a big difference. The other differentiator here is the availability of free zones, economic zones, industrial zones. We have a scientific zone as well in next to Sultan Qaboos University Innovation Park, Muscat. So the availability of these zones and what they provide as incentives, when it comes to incentives, tax breaks, custom duty breaks, and so on, they help a lot in also attracting not just technology companies in general. But if you want us to talk about what would attract technology companies, I can get into that as well.
Yes, I would love to, especially if we want Oman to be a technical country where we can export some of its talents and its products to be a producer of technology.
So yes, and this is the main focus currently of the entire government, not just the ministry. We are working very closely with Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, as well as the Authority for Industrial Zones, the Authority for Free Zones, to first of all find out the areas that we want to attract companies in, and secondly facilitate investment opportunities that are coming to the country through this package of incentives and facilitation that we can provide. So when we first talk about what are the areas that we are interested in, one of the main areas is the area of data centers and cloud services. Okay. Oman have a natural and artificial competitive advantage. The natural competitive advantage is its geographical location. Everyone knows that. And because we are around the center of the world, this means that we are reachable. And when it comes to data and data exchange, this also makes a difference because data travels and they travel through either submarine cables or satellite. And that distance has to be close to your destination for you to have a good service. So us being in the center of the world, that is helpful. The other competitive advantage that we have is Oman have invested through telecom companies have invested in submarine cables, and Oman, compared to neighboring countries, is considered rich when it comes to submarine cables. We have good number of submarine cables either landing in Oman or planned to land in the country. And the more submarine cables you have, the better it is for data centers and for cloud services, because it gives you redundancy, it gives you more availability, it gives lower latency. Now, the other competitive advantage that we have here in the country, and it is now becoming important, is the availability of sources of renewable energy. Mm-hmm. Data centers, as everyone knows, consume energy. But what's coming up with AI data centers consume even more energy, and they are energy demanding. Not only energy, water as well. So AI data centers is emerging with AI applications proliferating everywhere. Everyone is using AI applications. This means that there is demand for more and more AI data centers around the world. So companies are looking for new places to build AI data centers. But what do AI data centers need? They need energy.
Can these data centers be an off-taker of the green hydrogen projects?
Maybe. I'm not an expert on green hydrogen.
Okay.
That requires a separate discussion with Ministry of Energy. But I possibly, but I don't know. But they are energy demanding. These, AI data centers are energy demanding, and sometimes conventional energy might not be enough to power these centers.
Now, all this sounds very peachy. Are you facing any hiccups? Are you receiving any feedback from investors, for example, about certain obstacles to fulfill or to actually bring the cash?
There is no hiccup per se, because it's a case by case. Every case that comes to our table is different. In some cases, investors want guaranteed commitments, for example, which might cost the government some maybe amount of money or any other form of commitment. Sometimes this is not possible for multiple reasons. In other cases, it is a very competitive market, and there are so many parameters that comes into play. But I don't see that there is a big hiccup, and Oman is ready, and the ministry is also ready to facilitate when there is a genuine and solid opportunity on the table. I want to give an example here, but not on data centers, on another area that we have ventured in, which was new, and alhamdulillah, it proved to be successful, which is semiconductor design. Mm-hmm. So semiconductor is a huge industry, and it is wide spectrum. But the first phase of any semiconductor manufacturing is the design of the microchips themselves. So design centers require talent, require dedicated engineers who can design microchips. And there was an investment opportunity where a company from the US was exploring to open up a design center in the region, and we had a chat with them, and we have presented Oman as a case. And the Omani government have offered to subsidize the training for the engineers who are going to be employed in the company. And today we have the company running with 90 plus Omani engineers who have designed more than the last number I remember is 6 semiconductor chips. Maybe they've designed more so far. The company's name is GSME Oman. So we are proud of this opportunity where the investor was serious. The investor was serious, and all what they've asked for is talent who are ready to take this task. When we assessed the talent in the country, we found out that the talents were not ready for that level of high technology design. Mm-hmm. So the government took it upon itself to upskill them and to make them ready for this company. That's where, that was the contribution from the government. And the engineers went through 9+ months of training. And now they are, they became an asset to the company, and the company can also mobilize them to other branches around the world.
Does it mean that the government is willing to do something similar with other investors?
Absolutely. Now, what happened in this particular example, when the company was established and engineers are now, employees of this company, Omani engineers, Oman Investment Authority, have seen an opportunity there, and they also have invested in the company. So now the chain is now, completing here. You have the Ministry of Transport, Communication, Information Technology, and Ministry of Labor working together to bring this investment opportunity and localizing it to the country by subsidizing the training of Omanis who are going to be employed. When the training concluded and Omanis have proved themselves and the company started producing the first few products, Oman Investment Authority have invested in the company so that the company can grow its operations. So we want to position Oman as the test bed of new technologies.
And is this happening?
Yes.
Are you experiencing new technologies or ideas coming to Oman and you're updating
the
regulation?
Yes, it is happening. Not as fast as I wish, if you ask me on a personal level, but it is happening. The tools are there. And whenever we, meet with serious investors, serious companies who are willing to come to the country, we try our level best to facilitate and to make sure that these opportunities are realized. And it's a collective effort. It's not just the Ministry of Transport, Communication, Information Technology. As I mentioned before, Ministry of Labor is playing a big role. Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Investment Promotion is playing a big role. The Authority for Free Zones, OPAZ, as well. Now that we have Invest Oman as a single hub to manage the business and administration affairs of investors.
In October of 24, someone from NASA visited Oman.
Yes.
What should we read into such visit?
I like the question, Fatma. In January 23, Oman have announced its national space policy. Again, the National Space Policy and Executive Program is one of the 8 programs of the National Digital Economy Program. The fact that Oman have announced its strategic direction when it comes to the space sector and what are the objectives of the space sector and what do we want to do in the space sector, we've noticed amazing interest from both governments and companies around the world. And we've been receiving government delegates as well as companies, space companies, coming to the country. Not only that, we've noticed that Omani companies who used to be traditional information and communication technology companies opening up a new branch in the space sector. because they've seen the interest, they've seen that the government is pushing towards this direction. And since we announced the space policy in January 2023 till today, there has been 2 satellites owned by Omani companies who have been launched. And those satellites, both satellites are satellites related to Earth observation and the usage of artificial intelligence to analyze images. We don't want to claim that it is just because of the policy, but I think having a specific space program and having a specific space team in the ministry pushing this industry gave comfort to companies around the world to come and to Omani companies to venture into space. We have another interesting project which is the spaceport near Duqm, إطلاق spaceport. And very soon you will hear good news from the spaceport, inshallah. So we have activities that are happening in the space program, and I think the reason why these activities are accelerating and why NASA and other 10 plus companies from the US have visited Oman, from the space sector have visited Oman, is because Oman had made it clear what do they want to do in the space sector. And Oman have made it clear that we want to use space economy as a contributor to the national economy and a tool to help better decision making in the country.
Okay. Your Excellency, thank you very much for this insightful discussion.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate all the input that you have shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and looking forward for future discussions, inshallah.
At the end of today's episode, we'd like to thank again our guest and Oman Chamber of Commerce for their strategic partnership with Foresight. We'd also like to thank our viewers for their valuable feedback that keeps getting to us. Remember, tomorrow's opportunities are shaped today. It has been my pleasure, Fatma Al-Arami, with the Studio Makan to bring you yet another insightful discussion in Foresight. See you next time.